Welcome to the Infrastructure Podcast. My name is Anthony Oliver, and today we're going to talk about the vital role of small businesses in driving growth into the UK economy as they invest in skills and technology to lead innovation and new thinking across the infrastructure sector. Now, as we approach the general election, all parties seem to be talking about the need to drive growth. So it is a great moment to talk about how government can stimulate this massive engine for growth across the UK. And while the big projects and large global consultants and contractors tend to steal the headlines and occupy the seats of power and influence across the sector, the reality is that it's an army of small to medium-sized enterprises that really keep the entire sector going. According to Build UK, for example, the construction sector employs 3.1 million people, which is 1 in 10 of the UK workforce, and has the largest share of self-employed people across the economy at 19%. But we need, of course, a whole lot more talent. In fact, according to a recent report by the Construction Industry Training Board, it's estimated that for the sector to maintain its required output, it needs to recruit over 45,000 new people every year for the next 5 years and beyond. It's a massive challenge and a vital challenge if we're to truly leverage the power of these small businesses that sit at the heart of the industry and make it all happen. So, who better to discuss this with than Julie White, Managing Director of Specialist Contractor D-Drill and Chair of Build UK, the body representing UK contractors. Julie is an entrepreneur and until the election was called, and we'll check whether she still is, a member of the Prime Minister's Small Business Council in the Department for Business and Trade. So Julie, welcome to the Infrastructure Podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. Well, you wear many hats, so where to start in this conversation? And the podcast is titled, Harnessing the Power of Small Businesses. So let's kick off by finding out a bit more about your recent work on the Prime Minister's Small Business Council. I presume it's somewhat on hold right now due to the election, but what was it for? Or how was it designed to help harness that power of small businesses?
Well, as you said, there is 99.9% of all people are actually employed by small to medium enterprises. So we always talk about the Amazons and the Googles and the Range Rover and the Fords of this life, but we are the real, true employees, and we're the ones that are training and bringing on the apprenticeships. I mean, there's 5.5 million SMEs in this Great Britain, and they estimate their turnover to be 2.1 trillion. So that's a lot of money being spent by us and being made by us for the economy. So the Small Business Council was put together to actually look at the barriers that us small businesses have, and we eventually got it down to 3 main topics, which was access to finance, support and skills, and also removal of barriers. So we managed to get our main requirements out from what we wanted from every sector. It was great. They were actually listening and talking about what we really needed.
And then the shutters came down and the general election was called, and it's all on hold. But of course, you weren't new to this kind of involvement with government, because you worked on the Prime Minister's Business Council until January 2023. Yeah, I mean, how was it different? And what was the difference in focus that you saw when you looked at the small businesses as opposed to the general businesses?
I found that because I was on the Prime Minister's Business Council, and I mean, it was amazing. I was sitting with Mr. BP and Mr. Scottish Power.
Right. Yeah.
Some massive, Mr. Lloyd's was there. Some massive voices, and to be a concrete cutter from Coventry sitting in around that massive desk, that you always see at Downing Street, was amazing. And of course I had 3 prime ministers in that time, so it was quite a change.
Yeah, well, interesting you say Mr. BP. I mean, you presumably, within business, you are still quite an unusual lone female voice.
Not alone, I think we're getting there as women, but for construction, if anyone can stand up and shout about it, it's good. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or whatever, but you've got to, because as you said, 1 in 10 of us is employed into this fantastic industry, and every pound spent in construction, there's £3 give back to the greater economy. So we're the ones that employ, we bring that technology on, we're the actual ones bringing the apprentices. We can actually move the economy on very quickly. Well,
clearly the council was set up to cover all sectors, but in reality the construction industry has been something of a ministerial revolving door over the last few decades. I mean, do you think this government, any government for that matter, do you think it really cares about this sector and its impact on the economy?
I think it does. We're 9% of the GDP, so they should be listening to us. So, they must be able to figure that out. So I really do. But I feel that construction, we're not that good at getting together. So I was actually on the board of the National Specialist Contractors, which then joined with the UKCG, which was the main contractors association. We made Build UK, and it'll be 10 years next year. So 10 years ago, we decided to put one voice. So for government, I always found it was like, I'm a concrete cutter and I wanted this. And they've got Mr. Balfour Beatty wanted this and he wanted something different. And then, and then whoever was the construction minister, and we've had a lot of them, like
absolutely
10 or 11 in the last probably 9 years or something. And they'd go, hold on a minute, aren't you all construction? So for us, it's actually going and being a one voice, client to a main contractor, right down to us white liners, concrete cutters, steeplejackers, flat roof, pointy roofs. We've got to be sound as one voice.
Absolutely, yeah. But I suppose what the government isn't really interested in is, in many cases, is the nuances of the way the industry is set up. It's looking for outcomes. It's looking for the delivery. One of the things about the construction sector is, as you pointed out, there, it's got a notoriously long supply chain tail. Does that mean it's too long to be truly powerful? Because there are by its very nature, you've got lots and lots of small businesses, none of which really can get a seat at the big table.
Yeah, well, I did. I was at the Prime Minister's Business Council, so I've just proved you wrong there for a start.
Right,
so there I was sitting next to Mr. Scottish Power, and he was saying to it was Boris at the time, we can go from a 5-year cycle for a wind farm, and we can now do it in at least 2.5, maybe 3 years. We can get that build sorted. And I stopped and said, excuse me, Mr. Scottish Power, but have you got your supply chain ready? Because I will be the ones delivering it. Have you spoken to your supply chain? Have you asked us, are we ready? And it went quiet. And then at the end, everyone came up and said, you're so right. You're so right. We need to understand. We come up with these amazing ideas, but we need to speak to the supply chain.
Well, building on that, we have got this general election approaching in a couple of weeks. Where for you are the small business party dividing lines for you? I mean, who should a small business leader in the construction sector vote for?
That's a hard one. That is such a hard one. And I was only on Radio 4 the other day, and they were pushing and pushing. But to be honest, it's the actual government that will listen to us, that actually will look at where the blockages are. I mean, one of the biggest blockages for the construction and for the house building is right at the very beginning. It is the planning. It's disorganised. It doesn't know what its left hand to the right hand's doing. It's actually completely stuck. So if somebody could go in there and unstick it, because we have never actually built the housing numbers that we have been predicting since 1968. And that was the year I was born. Right. So come on, there is a problem.
So go back to the original question, who should a small business leader in the construction sector vote for in order to get that unstuck? Are you hearing anything in the manifestos? Are you hearing anything in the what the politicians are saying, which kind of gives you an idea that one party would do better than the other?
To be honest, no. I might as well tell it no. If for small businesses, it's always the red tape. The problem of employing, the problem of bringing on apprentices, the cost of the levy. So somebody that can actually look at the burden and the pain that us small businesses go through and just support us, because, as we said, we are the backbone of this economy.
Yeah. Well, you're also chair, as I said, of Build UK. Since last September, you've been on the board for around 9 years. It's an organisation which, of course, has worked with governments of many different flavours and colours. So what are Build UK members asking for from the next administration right now? Well,
again, they are asking removals of retentions, making sure that the levy is actually looked at so it works well through the supply chain, and also that the procurement is right. 40% of all construction in this country comes from government money, 40%. Mm-hmm. So they have a playbook. This playbook was out maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but they're not working to their own playbook. So we need them to be working to their own playbook. And also that they announce the pipeline of work, because we can be ready for it, but when nobody tells us and what's coming, we can't be ready. So it's just, we need to feel good about what's coming from the government spend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I spoke to Chief Executive Susanna Nichols last year, we talked through the 3 main goals: improving business performance, increasing productivity and recruitment, training and retaining talent. Let's just talk about 3 initiatives driving this business performance, starting with the fair and transparent payment practices. I mean, you've seen some successes over the last decade or so with tier 1 contractor members now taking an average of 30 days to pay invoices. Is it as good as it can be for the supply chain? How do you get it better than that?
Yeah, again, it's communication. Again, it's working together. And it's, again, we run off very, very, very small margins. So when there is a hiccup and when something's gone wrong into a contract, then communicate through the supply chain, because we can't. Small businesses in the actual construction industry, we will deliver and do what you want, but don't come and bash us around the head at the end. So really talk, if there is a problem, that we can work on it together, because if not, then money will dry up. We know cash is king, and we need to keep that flowing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think companies bidding for contracts, government contracts over £5 million, they now have to demonstrate they pay invoices with an average of 55 days. I mean, that's still quite a long period of time to sit without being paid.
Yeah. Well, that's come down, quite a lot in the last probably since 2008. So I
remember it was 80 days.
So you can see that we've come down 30 days since that. So it's working, communicating, trying to actually, we're all on the same side. We want that building to go up, and we all want to be profitable. Yeah.
Another key topic, of course, is the aim of delivering zero retentions across the supply chain by no later than 2025. Last time I looked, that's next year. Why is that important for small businesses, and how are you getting on with that?
It's again, it was funny because I had breakfast with Susanna this morning, and if you think about it, it's a bit like saying, going into a restaurant and saying, "Oh, I'd like that cake and that coffee," and the woman saying, "No, the coffee's £3 and the cake's £7." I just go, "Okay, that's £10," and then someone goes, "Well, I'm only going to pay you £9." Because just in case the cake makes me feel upset later, and I don't feel ill, so I'll pay you £9. And then what I'll do is, I think you should give me a discount because I'm buying 2 together, so I'll only give you £8. So you wouldn't be able to do that in a coffee shop, would you?
No.
I drill holes through a living, right? I drill holes through concrete, through walls. I cut openings, and those holes will never go away. They will never fill back up immaculately, So why keep retention off us guys? It's just a tax. It's just a bully boy tax. And then all of a sudden they go, "I'll pay you that in a year's time." And they never do.
So are you making progress? Are you getting to a situation where clients are understanding this?
With Build UK, yes. And I have learnt so much. I mean, because with Build UK, we have got clients coming in with us now. We've got, architects. We've got everyone talking to us, and we're actually seeing the real pinch points, the real pain in the industries. I never understand that the clients were bullied by the banks, or the banks weren't pushing down the money when they should be doing, which then they put all the risk onto the main contractors. The risk then through the terms and conditions are pushed down to a subcontractors. So where does it stop? You can't keep pushing the risk through the supply chain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose that brings to the final piece in this jigsaw. You've produced a set of recommendations around around contract terms and creating what you say is common ground between clients and the supply chain on contractual practice in the construction industry. This is a constant problem, Julie, in the industry. Why is it still so hard to get a contract right? Should there be a more standardisation to create a more level playing field?
There definitely is, and that's what we're doing with Build UK. We're actually starting from the very beginning, and even for the clients and for the main contractors, how they procure. So we get asked to fill out the PQQs, which are pre-qualified questionnaires, and we have to do hundreds of them. Hundreds a week, hundreds a month, to thousands. And what we're trying to do is get one set of questions, one set of certifications, and one set of qualifications through the industry, and that we fill these in so every main contractor knows exactly who's buying what, who's qualified, and where they can send the contract through. So standardising that will be truly amazing.
And that really sets out where the risk is allocated and actually who's taking on what. Julie, let's talk a bit more about you and Dedrill. I mean, your day job is as a super energetic managing director of specialist contractor Dedrill, a business that you've led since leading a management buyout in 2008. What makes the business special?
Well, I think it's special because, we've been going 57 years. I know years are not everything, but we have got over 12,000 customers from the end users to main contractors to every specialist sector inside the construction industry. So I always say that we're like the barometer of the construction industry. If I'm busy, the whole of the industry is busy. 75% of all our workforce have either been or gone through an apprenticeship scheme. And with my branch set up, we actually are only 1 hour away from any construction site in Great Britain. So you can have local labour with good carbon footprint come in and bring you a quality job safely.
So what's the backstory? I mean, how did you end up leading the MBO?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. I actually started my construction career where I started my own company doing floor preparation for the construction industry. So there was 3 or 4 very specialised technologies that I had, and they were pretty new to Great Britain. And I brought them in and grew a company called Superfloor Limited. From that, my father came and said, "You're the only person in the family that have come into construction in their own right, but you are a woman." I said, "Thank you very much, Dad, you've noticed." So we were actually playing golf together, and we were in the 19th hole, and he said, "Come on, what about coming and joining the family business?" And I said, "No, Dad, I've been to one of your board meetings. It doesn't make sense. It's no." So we had another 19th hole drink, and I said to him, "I tell you what, Dad," and he's my best friend. I said to him, "I tell you what, I'll buy you out." And he said, "You're not big enough to buy me out." And I said, "Well, you wouldn't be able to get 100% shareholding from the family, would you?" And he went, "I would." Right. And so we shook hands, and the race was on. After 3 or 4 months, he'd come back and go, "I've got you 82%. I go, "No, Dad, I want 100%. And it went on for 3 years, and I found the money. He got me 100%. And the buyout went through.
Oh, right. Somewhere in the middle between a hostile and a friendly takeover.
Well, I bought it in 2008 in April. And I had 5 months of fantastic trading before the deepest, darkest recession hit me. And I lost 40% of my turnover in 5 months. So, it was a real hostile takeover, let me tell you.
Baptism of fire, yeah. But your dad's feeling very good about it, I'm sure. Anyway.
We still play golf together. We're all right.
That's all right. I mean, a quick look at your website. It's, a couple of things that leap out. First, you say we're always innovating and embrace new technology to save time, money, and the environment. I mean, how does a small business do that? How do you afford to do that? How do you make that actually happen in reality?
I feel it's adding value to the customer. Totally adding a value. So we brought in concrete scanning. So we can go in now and scan the concrete before we actually drill a hole. So fantastic. We drill the hole and we don't hit electrics. We don't hit a water pipe. We don't hit the main alarm of a building. So we are saving their money. We're actually giving them added value. We also then, what happens, we go, well, what are you going to put in that hole? Do you want us to resin it? Would you like us to pull testing on the anchors? Do you want to? So we can then be on site and do a very, one-stop shop and actually give value and the technology to the customer.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really tough business environment right now, I imagine. I mean, how would you describe the challenges of being the boss of an SME in construction?
I think it is keeping the people.
Yeah.
We have to bring these people on and we have to keep them. But if we can be different and treat our people better, give them flexible working, maybe, speak to the people that don't want to work at nights, at the weekends, work with the ones that do, and just realise that the days of you will work or every minute or...
Well, that brings you on to the second thing that's highlighted on your website, which is your deep passion for workforce training. You mentioned it a moment ago. You've got more than 45% of the workforce have been through your apprenticeship programme. I mean, the sector has got notoriously low barriers to entry. But why is this investment in training so important?
Well, it is. It's got to keep, because there is people that come and they would want to be diamond drillers and that's all they want to do in life. But there is people that want my job, and they're very, sometimes I think, come on, bring it on, because if you're not surviving and actually, if you're only surviving or you're not, actually going through up the ladder of a company or being seen as a value, then it's soulless.
Yeah.
So bringing on apprentices and seeing them grow into a trade, who knew that there's a diamond drilling and sawing trade, that we're actually making money out of holes. People don't know that there's specialist trades are out there. And they say there's over 2,000 different jobs inside the construction industry, from QS to bid writers to solicitors to diamond drillers to white liners to steeplejackers. So why not? It's a great living. It's a great trade.
Well, looking at your job, Julie, what's the best thing about your job? What gets you out of bed each morning with so much energy and passion?
I've got a lot of energy. That's our trouble. I keep hoping as I get older it gets less, but it doesn't seem to be. For me, getting out is the brand. Dedrill brand to me is not only my family, but it's a great leader of our industry. I was president of the World Association, the International Association of Concrete Cutters, and I've been helping the whole industry. I am actually the chair of the Drilling and Sawing Association right now. We're a very young industry. We're only about 60 years old, but if we can make standards and procedures and qualifications, even better worldwide, and give back to an industry of concrete cutting that's gave me and my family a fantastic time. Fantastic.
You mentioned that the whole Dedrill journey started on the golf course. Is that what you do to take your mind off the mad world that's construction? Anything else? Yeah,
I actually particularly don't like golf. I only actually do it because my dad loves it. So I'm I love kite surfing and windsurfing, and anything to do with the water. In my younger youthful times, I did a lot of big boat sailing around the world. I still like going sailing, anything to do with water. So being born in Coventry has been really helpful for me.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, where do you do that? I mean, you're about as far away from the water as you can possibly be.
Yeah, well, I found when I was young, my family found a really beautiful place. I'm looking at a map just up there, I can see it, called Aberdyfi in Wales. And I've got a little place over there, which I go to, and great group of friends, and we go wakeboarding and swimming and kite surfing and windsurfing. So for me, anything to do with the water would be my property.
Well, anyone that knows me knows that I share those passions. We'll have to talk offline about those ones anyway. Well, getting back to construction, specifically talent, I mean, Build UK highlights 3 areas to focus on: recruit, train and retain, all of which I discussed with Susanna Nicol, and all of which in many ways you've talked about over the last few minutes. But, how is the sector really starting to change its approach to recruiting that vital, diverse workforce across all roles?
Well, they always talk about bringing young people in and how we're going to get young people in. But we know that people are coming to us and doing construction MVQs NVQs, construction, degrees and T-levels. But what's happening is those people are finishing and there doesn't seem to be a join between them then heading into the industry. So we're losing 40% of all those people because there isn't jobs ready. But we want people to come and work for us. So there is something in between not right. And I speak to Susie about this regularly. And this is what we've got to start understanding, where the joining up is not right.
Yeah.
And then for me too is just to realise that retaining people is key now. As we said earlier, you've got to make sure that you're talking to your employees, you're bringing them on, and also giving them what they need. In, as I said, flexible working. If they've got childcare problems, you work with people.
So it's not just down to money; it's down to setting up people's career, people's working lives, so that they can actually build that into their lives as well.
That's what COVID's brought to us, hasn't it? We're all used to now working from home, and I don't know whether I can ever get my diamond drillers to work from home, because I don't know how they would drill those holes. We just keep thinking about it.
One of the other things, of course, is training. And as a former member of the CITB, you mentioned the levy system a bit earlier. Is that now working properly to enable smaller businesses to keep up with this training requirements?
Well, people think about the levy as an extra tax, which there's a wrong way of thinking, because really you should be taking that levy and making it work for you. They have now opened it up that the main contractors and other people can share your levy through the supply chain. So out there, if you are a big boy, if you're not using your levy, give it to a specialist contractor, give it down your chain. And for us, and I only can talk about my industry, the drilling and sawing industry, with the Drilling and the Sawing Association, we actually take out more money out of the levy than we actually put in. We're very proactive on making sure our apprentices have got what they need, going out there and retraining our guys for supervisors all the way up to NVQ 6s and 7s. Yeah.
Well, clearly much of the sector requires working outside in pretty harsh conditions. Your business is kind of founded on that kind of work. Are we doing enough to change this? And clearly in a business like yours, it's not necessarily possible, but, are we doing enough to introduce more off-site factory assembled components?
Yeah, well, this is something, because I was on Radio 4 this week on a house building site in Burton-on-Trent, and they were talking about this. And yeah, I think it has a time and its place for off-site building, and it does work. But I think there's still a long journey to go with that. And I feel right now, if we could get the key points of construction, house building right, we could get those numbers of houses built. We could get those apprentices, 50,000 a year that we need, brought through. So let's work on the core issues, and then that modular build will just be the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Well, just to round off, we've talked about this real challenge of harnessing the power of small businesses. What would you say has to happen to really engage the army of SMEs, to move the dial on UK growth the way that the politicians are really talking about it right now? What do you need from the next administration?
Yeah, for me, for the new administration, is that they need to speak to us. They need to communicate with us. The Tories did bring together a business council, a small business council. They were listening to us. They were actually were asking us what we wanted, and we picked the subjects that we were going to rally. The 3 subjects, which was access to finance. It doesn't matter what sector you are in. It's hard for the banks. The banks are totally and utterly risk adverse, and if you're in construction, they just don't want to know. So it's really, really tough. Then remove others of barriers. We've got to make sure that when we employ, that the red tape and the taxes and the HR around that is easier, so we can actually employ what we need in this country. And also the construction industry can bring on the skills very, very, very quickly. And then it's skills and support. That's what we need. We need support. We need the right support to bring on the people we need.
Julie, thanks so much for joining me today on the Infrastructure Podcast. I feel quite heartened that whoever's in government in the next month or so, that they will be facing you and your challenges. So for the industry, you will be certainly championing. So thanks so much for joining me on the podcast and putting your thoughts across. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's all we got time for today, but we've got more from the Infrastructure Podcast in the pipeline, more guests to talk to as we continue to probe the big issues faced across the sector. If you haven't done so already, do check out the Infrastructure Podcast website, www.infrastructure-podcast.com, where you'll find background information and all the latest podcasts to listen to and to share. So thanks for joining us. Thanks again to Julie, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.